welcome to our presenter to this today's session. Hello for all the people, perhaps that attend online and perhaps the incoming in-person attendees. Welcome to the session Amigo Circles, a virtual peer mentoring program for frontline employees in trust and safety. This is a quite interesting topic. Let me introduce myself. My name is Henry Martasari. I am a master's student in cognitive science in education at Columbia University, and I will be serving as your chair session today. And this session, you'll be hearing a presentation from Ms. Aparna Samuel Balasundaram as a global behavioral health head and well-being and resilience digital at Wipro Limited, Texas, United States, together with Mr. Srihari Swami and Ms. Jayshree Sarda. And allow me to give an overview about our main presenter, Ms. Balasundaram. She is a behavioral health consultant, award-winning psychotherapist, TEDx speaker, author, teaching associate at Columbia University, as well as doctoral candidate at the University of Pennsylvania. And here we also have Jayshree Sarda and Mr. Sahari that will introduce themselves after. And then for online attendees, feel free to write down the question. If you have a question in the chat box, we will have 30 to 40 minutes presentation, and then we will have Q&A session after. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Henry. Henry, I'm not sure if there's a background noise while we are speaking, but there was some kind of disturbance when you were speaking. So I'm hoping it's clear for everybody right now, and it's not. There's no disturbance right now for everybody else.
Yes, the background session is because this is parallel session and we are like together in one room. But hopefully for the online attendees, it's not going to be distracting because yeah, it's only the here.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Just a second. Sorry about that. Good. I'm hoping that everybody can see our screen. And thank you again for having us here. We are the Global Wellbeing and Resilience team representing Wipro, and we're really honored to be on this platform talking about one of our programs that's a flagship program that we developed within our organization. So I thought I'd start a little bit with just kind of explaining a little bit about Wipro. So Wipro is around 76 years old, and we have a presence across 67 countries. We have close to 240,000 plus employees across these 67 different countries. We have over 1,369 clients that we work with across the global space. And our revenues is a nice healthy amount, 10.4 billion USD billion. And the three of us are really proud to kind of be here to represent Wipro at this conference. So today we're going to be talking about the Amigo Circle, which essentially is our virtual peer mentoring program for frontline managers within the space of trust and safety. And we'll share a little more about what trust and safety is. But before we do that, again, a quick peek at all of us. That's me over there. I'm the global head of well-being and resilience within our vertical for Wipro. My well-being mantra is be the change you want. And since it's just us, I'm going to request Jayshree and Srihari to introduce themselves. So Jayshree, if you want to go next.
Sure, Aparna. Thank you so much. My name is Jayshree. I am Jayshree Sarda, and I'm Resilience and Wellbeing Lead at Wipro. My well-being mantra is live and let live. So I like to think of a world where there's less of judgment and people can be and do what they want to do. Very happy and excited to be here. Srihari, do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you, Jayshree. Hi, I'm Srihari. I'm also a resilience and well-being lead. My well-being mantra is live the moment.
Lovely, thank you. And right now, I must share this with everybody. Jayshree and Srihari are signing in from India. So it's about 12:45 in the night there. Srihari is definitely living the moment then in that sense. So we were just glad to be here to be able to talk a little more about our program, kind of take you through the entire design. So the roadmap for our presentation, we're going to focus on 5 different aspects. First, of course, we're going to set the context as to why we did what we did, which was the challenge. Once we kind of understand what the problem statement of the challenge is, we then are very quickly going to move into the idea, which was really our solution. And then we're going to talk about the how, right? How we kind of took the why, we took the idea, and we kind of put it into a program that was able to meet and address the why. So that's going to focus on the how. We then are going to take you through an experience, which is essentially a walkthrough, and we will try and give you a glimpse of both sides of the story, right? Our experience as clinicians running this program, as well as what we heard our people say, some of our colleagues on the other end who were involved in the program from a recipient point of view. And then, of course, like any good thing, within our space, we had to have a research element. So we're going to talk about the analysis, where we're going to talk about the research aspect, the evaluation, as well as our learnings and the corrective action that we were able to take basis our learnings. So starting with the why. I think in order for us to kind of truly appreciate what we did, it's important for us to first understand why we did what we did, right? So I'm going to introduce you to the whole concept of trust and safety. Perhaps some of you are familiar with it. For those of you that aren't, trust and safety in one line means reducing the risk of using an online platform, right? So if I was to break that down, there are essentially 2 words we're looking at. We're looking at the word trust, and then we look at the word safety, right? Now, trust is a foundational concept for us as humans, right? And in order for me to interact with you, I should be able to trust you, right? And the the reality of life, though, is that in the online space, right, we really aren't sure who's on the other end, right? Can I really trust you, right? And we haven't really had enough time to develop trust. And because trust is not developed, sometimes there can be a situation where what we're exposed to in the online space is not safe, right? And hence, there's a need for what is known as content moderation, right? So essentially, kind of breaking down content moderation one layer further, right? Um, Content is generated by many users across the globe, and that's known as user generated content, right? So for example, I can load any content that I want on the virtual space, right? But before it kind of gets on the virtual space, we need to make sure that whatever has been uploaded is safe and it's appropriate for consumption within the public space, right? And that's where content moderators kind of step in. And the World Economic Forum estimates that by 2025, we're going to have created, through the whole concept of UGC, user generated content, more than 463 exabytes of data every day. And as this data gets created, and I think over COVID, we found that there was more user generation of content, that was kind of getting uploaded across various platforms. And hence it was important for us to make sure, that whatever gets uploaded is safe for consumption. And that's the whole concept of trust and safety, right? And hence, as we spoke about content moderation, sometimes what people might see in the content moderation space could be sensitive content, right? It could be egregious content. It could be content that is not the healthiest for public consumption. And hence, they have to almost take that content off before it gets uploaded. So that's content moderation. On this, add the other layer of work from home, right? Now, because of COVID, we've all kind of been in this space globally where we've experienced working from home. The issue with that, though, is, of course, and I'm sure many of us can relate to this, is that it kind of increased a sense of isolation. The connects that we had at the workspace almost became non-existent, right? So that was part of another problem that we needed to address. And the third, of course, is that all of us, I think, right, in various different ways, at some point were anxious about COVID, right? Whether it was concern for ourselves or family or friends, So added to the fact that the work that I'm doing perhaps has egregious content, I'm doing that work from home, almost kind of in a space of isolation and disconnection. And on top of that is, that I'm also living in this global fear of COVID, right? And what that might be and how that might translate, right? So one of our content moderators kind of captured this really well. And they said, while we are keeping the internet safe, we need to remain strong and resilient. And so, in addition to the team leads and the well being coaches, it would be really helpful to have a friend who we can reach out to, right? And that's is what gave birth to the whole concept of Amigo Circle, right? So, like I've already spoken about, people were feeling lonely. There was potential secondary stress due to the nature of the work, and hence it became really important to us to create an evidence based program that could help some of these challenges that we realize that our people might be facing, right? So, given that problem statement, here was our solution, and here's the idea that we came up with, right? So, we came up with the idea known as Amigo Circle. And Amigo Circle essentially was also born of the fact that, as per research, right, an individual spends nearly a quarter of their day's time at their workplace. And organically, over the natural course of time, many of us make friends at work, right? And when we make friends at work, we're able to support each other, we're able to form these groups. But like we've seen for ourselves, because of the whole work from home situation, many people weren't able to connect in an organic way or throw water cooler conversations, with their colleagues, right? And hence we felt it was important for us to kind of tap into creation of an online program where people could then reconnect with their amigos or their friends or their peers, right? And so the idea was that could we use natural groups that form within a workspace, could that be seeded almost formally to provide emotional support? And this led to a concept where we were able to combine what is known as affinity groups as well as support groups. And we're going to talk a little more about how that kind of panned out for us. So Amigo Circle essentially meaning friends. So we took two concepts. One concept was affinity groups, which essentially means that these are groups that are based on a common interest or a shared group where they're able to support each other. It's a little more formal, and usually they have a facilitator, right? So on one hand, we had the concept of affinity groups. The other hand, we had the concept of support groups, which again is a group of people facing a common issue, right? Or a similar experience, but usually this is more within the space of health or psychological aspects that one may be dealing with. The idea being that it's as safe a space as possible, and this is more informal vis-a-vis the affinity groups. So here's what we did, right? We try to combine the best of two, right? The best practices from the affinity group as well as the support group. We were able to be in a place where we were able to create an intentional coming together of the amigos, right? So we weren't just coming together just to chat, that was part of it, but there was also an intent behind the amigos coming together. We were able to seed champs. And when Jayashree and Srihari talk more about the program, that will make more sense when what seeding of the champs means. Another important component of the Amigo Circle was that this was one way that we could encourage our people to take emotional ownership of their own well-being, right? So instead of within a corporate space it being a top-down program, we wanted to do something where there was an inclusive approach. The locus of control was more internal. It was a participatory approach where our people were able to say that, hey, you know what, this is something that we want to do, right? This is important to us. And so we're going to take emotional ownership. So that brings us to a broad overview of why Amigo Circle was created and what the intention of the Amigo Circle is. I'm now going to hand it over to Jayashree, who's going to talk about the how, which is the design, the method, and the content. Over to you, Jayashree.
Thank you so much, Aparna, for setting the context and for explaining so clearly why we got inspired to actually apply this concept in our population. So I'm here to delve a little deeper into how we brought this into action. Uh, the whole program, it was divided into 6 phases, as we can see: selection, peer mentor training, creating awareness, socializing the concept. Stage 4 was assigning the champs. Stage 5 was engaging, and of course, in the last stage, evaluation of the program. I shall be taking you through these stages in details in my next slide. So, before even beginning the first phase, we started with gathering organizational support and, making the training material. This was made or prepared keeping in mind the population working in the field of trust and safety. So, we made a program which is relevant to our population. The first stage, the first phase, it comprised of selection of the Amigo champ. This was not random. This was the Amigo champs were selected as per a defined selected selection criteria. They were nominated by the supervisors and managers. These people who were nominated, they went through an interview with the Wellbeing and Resilience team. Uh, we were looking for certain personality characteristics and their motivation to be part of this program. Once that was clear, they went through an HR round, and then the final list of champs, Amigo champs, were selected. The second phase, it consisted of peer mentor training. So this was okay. This was in different phases. The first part of the training, it consisted of 2 sessions, which was spread across 3-week period. Each training was of 2 hours. Uh, Emphasis was laid on basic counseling skills, resilience building activities, as well as destigmatizing mental health. Post training, they went through a teach back session where they were invited to pick up a portion from the training and have an actual practice session. Because the champs were, asked to take the message to their circle of amigos. Post that, after 6 weeks into the training, another refresher training was held. This was a more longer 4-hour session. Phase 3, it comprised of creating awareness and socializing the concept of Amigo Circle. This was interesting because we wanted to take this idea not just within the group where so much of action is taking place, but within the wider organizational space. So this was achieved by sharing the idea or the concept of Amigo Circle with senior management, sending out visual reminders, emails, talking about the program in town hall meetings, and involving various other areas, various other people to talk more about the concept. So we had our third-party vendors talk about this concept in their regular connects with the people. Moving on, in stage 4, these champs who were ready, they were assigned to their amigos were assigned to them, and each champ was responsible for a group of people. The champ and the group of people, all of them together made the circle, the Amigo Circle. The objective of this circle was to facilitate awareness, build rapport, create community, have some rules and goals. The circle was required to meet at least once in a fortnight. Stage 5, phase 5, it's centered around engagement. So the champs, once in a fortnight, they would meet their circle. Other than that, the champs, the various champs who were selected, they also met with other champs once in a fortnight. This meeting was facilitated by a well-being coach. It would be more like a debrief session where champs could discuss, they could talk, they could brainstorm as to how to reach out, how to create a more cohesive circle. They discussed what worked for them, what did not. They could process their thing. And at 6 weeks again, a refresher training was held for them to get better understanding of the basic concepts. Now, phase 6, to evaluate the program, see whether it has been of help to the participants or no. Quantitative as well as qualitative analysis was done. Program was revised as per the results and the suggestions, the feedback. And no, we did not stop the program there. Nominations were sought for the next cohort. And as we speak right now, the next cohort is at phase 2 of their training. Moving on, I'm going to walk you through the experience of the Amigo Circle program. So, at the heart of the program is the Amigo Champ, as we've been talking about. This person is special, and so special efforts were taken to select the correct champ. And this was based on some criteria. The champ, they had to have credibility with their peers and management. The group would be well knit if the rest of the amigos could trust their champ. The champ had to be intrinsically empathetic and a good listener. Sometimes it is difficult, I think, but at least wanting to be so, having the right attitude towards being a good listener, trying to be empathetic, that was what we were looking for. They had to be in their role for at least 6 months. This is because it helps to understand the person well, and the person is settled and known to others as well. So we selected people who are with the organization for some time. A proactive personality was essential to the Amigo Champ, as after the skills which are taught and guidance which were provided by the well-being coaches, the of modulating the whole circle was with the champ. So a proactive personality was important. Now, these were essential, but it would be good for the champs to have sound technical knowledge of work, as that builds credibility as well as respect for the champ. Capability to be a good role model, willing to mentor, see the value of the program for themselves as well. So it's not just, that Amigo Champ is helping or teaching skills to the amigos, but in turn, does the champ also realize the value of the program for themselves? That was also a good thing to have. Good facilitation and communication skills were some of the other variables that were looked into. It was made clear that the Amigo Champ is not a counselor, a source of entertainment, or an emotional dumping ground. The selected amigos, as we can see, they went through a training, and training was in different phases. So I have been talking about this training on and off. Now I'll tell you very clearly what happened during this training. So the first training was, there were 2 training modules over a period of 3 weeks. They were of 2 hours each. And at 6 weeks, they went through a refresher training. So the content of the training, and training 1, we introduced the concept of occupational and psychological health and safety. Apart from that, they also did some exercises on, reflection on self, and some skill building exercises like active listening. Training 2, it comprised of learning how to build relationships. So, the idea of Amigo Circle is to create that well-knit, cohesive sense of community. So for that, easy to learn skills were discussed. Some of them were, care method, which is a mnemonic for concern, available, respect, and empathy. In another, topic, we discussed identifying red flags, where we discussed how to detect physical, emotional, or behavioral symptoms in their circle. To be able to build relationship, 3 C's of communication were discussed: how to catch the signs, how to communicate with care, and connect with a counselor if one spots any kind of red flag. It was interesting because in the teach back session, each champ was required to select a subset of the training module and conduct the session for the group. So after that, feedback was shared with all of them. 6 weeks post this, all the champs went through a refresher session where the same concepts were reiterated and doubts were clarified. Moving on. So what is it that was required of the Amigo Champ and the Amigos? Champs and Amigos are both part of the Amigo Circle. Both parties are part of the support group that was and it was expected that they would hold each other within the circle. It would be a reciprocal process. The champ was required to proselytize the attitude towards mental health. I'm not happy to say this, but the stigma around seeking help for emotional reasons, the stigma is still there. And the champ was required to work on changing this mindset and attitude towards mental health. Uh, Champ was required to build an environment of openness, trust, and safety. Champ was required to be available and recruit more champs. You know, the onus then is not just on the champ, but because the concept is being seeded, champ would create more champs, create a supportive environment. Champ would be available and seed the concept, recruit more champs. The Amigo Champ would be supported by the well-being coaches to be able to observe and guide an Amigo towards seeking professional help in case there is a need. The Amigo, in its turn, was required to be available for new Amigos. That is the idea of circle, where everyone is there for each other. Amigo is required to provide emotional first aid to fellows whenever there is a need, and also guide others towards self care. Not just others, I think for them as well, give importance to self care and reach out or guide others towards professional care whenever there's a need. Moving on, after the initial training and getting the group started with the circle, the Amigo champs had regular meeting with the well-being coach. These sessions were held once in a fortnight, and here the group came together to discuss what went well and the areas where they needed help. Discussions centered around their experiences and challenges during the fortnight. And these sessions, they were glued by learning one new skill, helping the champs ace their social and emotional learning skills. Let's see what that consisted of. So, under attitude, aptitude, and awareness, the session centered around learning self-development skills like, say, grounding skills, gratitude and mindfulness skills, being patient, being genuine, and other things. Under communication skills, some topics which were covered related to how to break the ice, how to introduce oneself, how to build rapport, learning the three C's of communication. We will talk about that later again. And effective listening, among other things. Under effective relationship, amigos discussed how to validate feelings, how not to dismiss or attempt to normalize right away the feelings shared by others in their circle, developing respect towards each other, how to give space to vent out, to push just the right amount for the amigos to participate, neither more, neither less. So, how to, tricky, difficult, but these were the things which were discussed during those sessions. Moving on, we would like to show you a glimpse of the training, and for that, I request our next speaker, Sri Hari Swami, to take us through this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jayashree, for patiently walking us through the program. I would like to just add a few more aspects of the program implementation. So I would like to give you a peek into the training of the Amigos and Champs. First is to train them in active listening, for example. So they learn to inquire about well-being without being intrusive, observe signs, question to clarify, and to offer help without stepping on any boundaries. This is a kind of nutshell to them in the 3C acronym. Catch the signs, convey concern without being judgmental, and connect the amigo to a professional. The training involved a bit of theory and a whole lot of discussions using case studies and role plays. Moving on. Here's a sample of a case study that we use for training. These are anonymized for confidentiality, but based on real cases. Instead of telling them what to do, we explore with the champs a case and how they would go about supporting their amigo. For example, a male who is 25 years old appears to be fidgeting in the meetings and sometimes appears lost in thought with an expression of sadness, sometimes indirectly making comments such as, what's it I'm doing with my life, what's the purpose of all this, and things like that. They might have also noticed that he seems less motivated and his production quality has dropped. The champs are asked, how will you approach this person? what would you what would be your first words? How would you introduce yourself? And how will you engage with the person and support them? The three C's. So using the three C's, like catching the signs, conveying their concern without being judgmental, and connecting the amigo to the professional. Moving on, we have we have chosen this case study to help the amigos understand the concept of inclusion. The first step in inclusion is to use a gender neutral language. So the case study reads like this. You notice your 25-year-old colleague who of late has been late to work, absents themselves without notice, appears irritable, complains of low energy and sleep issues. And the champs are asked the same questions again. How will you approach this person? What would be your first words? Like how would you introduce yourself? And how will you engage with the person and support them? Moving on. Next. So we're going to talk about the analysis of the program. In the pilot of the program, we trained 32 champs who in turn engage with 280 of their colleagues. The current ratio is 1 champ for a maximum of 9 amigos, each group size not exceeding 10. Moving on. There's a popular saying, to improve, one must measure. The research objective was to understand the impact of the amigo circle. The research questions were, how did the amigo fare in terms of well-being as compared to those not in the program, attitude towards mental health of amigo as compared to those not in the program. The methodology, the research design was an ex post facto design. DAS is a 42-item self-report instrument designed to measure the 3 related negative emotional states of depression, anxiety, and stress, which is available in the public domain. So comparing the DAS scores of amigo versus those not in the program. Feedback survey for attitude towards mental health. A sample size of 182. I'll elaborate on this later. Similarly, sample size for the feedback was 92. And independent sample t-test for parametric data and its equivalent Mann-Whitney test for non-parametric data. Moving on. We conduct regular well-being surveys, and one of them being using DAS. Out of the total 312 participants in the pilot, 182 of them had participated in the recent DAS survey as well. Out of this 182, 20 were champs and 162 were amigos. For the control, we chose an equal size from those who had participated in the DAS but had not participated in the program. Moving on. Comparing the scores of DAS between people who participated in the Amigo program and those who did not participate, we noted that those in the program show lower scores on depression, anxiety, and stress compared to those not in the program. This is actually more prominent in the stress scores. All scores, of course, are in a normal range according to DAS norms. On the question, do you have someone to talk to when you are stressed? Again, here, higher percentage of people who took part in the program said that they had somebody to talk to as compared to those not in the program. Even though no statistical differences were found, the trends look quite promising. Moving on. So we did this impact analysis survey. A subsample of 92 amigos and champs participated in this feedback survey. Out of these 92, 13 were champs and 79 were amigos. Among all the amigos, we noted that 94.6% amigos reported that they were aware of their thoughts and feelings. 85.9% amigos reported they feel a strong sense of belonging in the organization. 81.5% amigos reported they are comfortable to talk about well-being, and amigos look forward to these connects. Moving on. Impact analysis where only champs responded. Among only champs, we noted 84.6 Amigo champs see the Amigo circle as an opportunity to take on leadership roles and help co-workers. Amigo champs believe the Amigo circle sessions helped co-workers become comfortable to talk about their well-being, and it can have positive impact on their co-workers. Moving on, when we analyze the data of only the Amigos, we noted that 94.9% Amigos reported their needs were recognized and addressed during the Amigo Circle Connects. 89.9% Amigos showed satisfaction of the mentoring relationship, and 82.3% Amigos feel people at work care about their well-being. Moving on. The numbers say only part of the story. It is also important to get the lived experience of the participants, right? In the feedback, the Amigos use the word helped the most. Other words they used were like feelings, de-stress, relaxed, a whole lot of positive keywords indicating the program was well received. Moving on, when he spoke to the champs, one champ shared that they have learned to listen and observe. If needed, they encourage their Amigos to seek professional help. Another champ shared that the training has helped them to recognize signs of stress and help their fellow Amigos as well. Their mantra being focus on today and not bother about tomorrow. Apparently, that's what this particular champ tells herself and also to her Amigos. Moving on. When we spoke to the Amigos, an Amigo shared the program has helped them that they could share with their Amigo champs those things that they cannot share with their team leaders or even with their family. Their Amigo champ listened to them patiently and was very supportive and helpful. Another Amigo that we spoke to shared that they were struggling with many ups and downs. They learned from the Amigo champ that there are wellness sessions that they can attend and also can seek professional help. Due to the program, the Amigo shared that they have learned to cope with their challenges. Moving on. So there's no endeavor without challenges, right? So obviously we had our share. The design of the program was for remote working scenario. However, the virtual water cooler conversations are not easy. Now, technical challenges such as network, lack of video, right, additional effort to elicit responses was quite had an impact on the champs. Another thing was about Amigo champs not having enough time to engage with their circle. To top that, the Amigo champs found their own enthusiasm dipping in general and in the program as well. So some of the solutions that we explored and implemented were helping the champs navigate the online engagements using small talk, using the chat feature, and using features like the reactions, like virtual claps and hearts, right? Asking close-ended questions that they can respond easily on the chat box. Now that the employees are returning to office, we are also exploring in-person sessions, using calendar extensively to identify lean periods and encouraging champs to connect with their Amigos and also encouraging the Amigos to connect with each other. Also encouraging them to connect informally, now without waiting for a quorum as well. Dedicated well-being coaches to support the champs, constantly communicating the relevance of the program to the Amigos, creating visibility to the management, creating social recognition for the champs were also something that we have implemented. We also actively sought feedback from the Amigos and also got a lot of input from them, which has gone into improving the program. Now, the conclusion. So the principles of community mental health, in addition to creating awareness, empowering the grassroots levels is important to get their buy-in and take ownership with a little nudge from the sponsors. Taking ownership of one's mental health and well-being has a ripple effect. Social learning is enabled, leading to more people taking ownership of their well-being, also destigmatizing mental health in the process. So we are looking forward to rolling out this program to a larger population. So this brings us to the end of today's presentation. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Now, if there are any questions, we'll take your questions.
Oh, thank you very much for the great presentation. It's really interesting. It is really a really great topic. I like the idea of the peer mentoring and then community development in the Amigo circle because it is gives a sense of belonging and also like awareness of mental well-being as well, which is very important for the employee productivity. If there's any question from the online attendees, I will try to perhaps like giving a floor. There is like another presenter as well, like present. So yeah, for the next session. So if there's any question, I will like give 1 minute to wait for the question because I haven't seen any question online.
If you want to shift now to a kind of concluding section where we talk about,
If not, maybe like I have a question though. I mean, this session will be recorded and then we will share it after in our platform. But from the best practice that you have been doing, is there any strategy or training to ensure the confidentiality during the sharing among the Amigo circle? Because I think that trust is like very important to make sure that this circle is very like connected to each other. So is there any like strategy to make sure that the confidentiality is like among the employees is like safe, like so they can be like trust?
Henry, I'll be happy to kind of take that question. So thank you for that very astute question. So in fact, as when we did the training, that's one of the things that we kind of spoke about, Henry, where we said that it's important, that whatever is shared has to be treated with respect as well as with confidentiality, because the idea was to try and create a safe, non-judgmental space, right? So that was taught in the session. However, there was a fine print even to the confidentiality, Henry, right? So if someone shared with the Amigo, something that required professional help, then we did encourage the Amigo champs to let their Amigos know that, hey, you know what? For example, this didn't happen, but as an example, right? If someone says that I don't feel like living, right? What's the use of living? Or I feel like hurting myself, or I feel like hurting someone else. So whenever things like this, if things like this would come up, at that point, we told the Amigos that you should do the ethical thing as well as the legal thing by actually breaking confidentiality, right? So there was a fine line that yes, confidentiality had to be maintained, and we kind of spoke about the cases. 99.9% of the cases, confidentiality had to be maintained. But if a person was in danger to themselves or to anybody else, then ethically confidentiality had to be broken. And this was something the Amigos anyway shared with the champs shared with the Amigos anyway, so people were aware of that. And even the confidentiality was broken. It's not like the whole organization knew about it. It really was that this information was then funneled to our well-being coaches, right? So that they were able to step in and give professional help. But thank you for that question. I think that's a really astute question, Henry. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really interesting, and really I support like this kind of program because employee when they burn out, they feel like they want to, of course, like share, and then feel like they are not. So thank you so much. I think I haven't seen any other question. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much. This session will be recorded and then we will share it through our presentation. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Shihari, Mr. Jayashree, and also Ms. Parna.
Thank you so much, Henry.